basically you die twice, right? You die when your physical spirit leaves your body and hits the pearly white gates. You die the second time when your name, Thomas Ryan, is mentioned for the last time out of somebody's mouth.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Always Be Consulting. I'm Thomas Ryan with Thomas Ryan Real Estate. Today, special guest, Brock Worthen. Brock actually introduced me to and brought me over to Keller Williams
That's right.
years back down in Orange County, down in Newport Beach. And we'll get into kind of the path that he's taken prior to that and after that. But Brock, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, man. Hey, I love you, bro. Thanks for having me. You and I were just sharing probably a little 10, 15 minute, collab off camera. And it's just always great to connect with you. I love it. And I learn from you. So I'm looking forward to this next, 20, 30 minutes just to share some insight and kind of just get some understanding with what you're doing there in your marketplace. I'll share with you some of the things that that we're doing, and I'm sure you're going to have some questions that'll spark some really cool conversations. So I'm excited.
That's the plan. Appreciate it. So why don't you just kind of introduce yourself, take us back to little Brock running around and
little Brock, little mini me,
little mini Brock running around. Take us back to the origin story of
the origin
Brock.
story.
Let's hear it.
I grew up in Ohio. I was a Buckeye growing up right in Columbus, and ended up going to Ohio State, and had a dream to play football for Ohio State. I mean, if you're born in Columbus or Ohio for that matter, you kind of bleed scarlet and gray, and was going down that path in college and ended up breaking my hand in my freshman year. And, I was a bigger version of myself trying to walk on to, the Ohio State University, which, I think for me, I was never gifted with like the physical talents. I had more of that sort of that desire, that heart, determination. That was sort of my gift. I wasn't, a 4.2 40 or 250 at 6'4", but I played with a high motor, So anyway, that kind of got derailed. Went through college and had a business path. Came out to LA my junior year with some fraternity brothers of mine, and one of them, his sister was a famous actress, and so we came out here. I'd never been out here and had a cool experience. I was like, okay, this is where I want to be.
You just came visiting. You just came visiting, not to
spring break. Yeah, okay, imagine like 8 guys from Columbus coming out to LA on spring break. Early 20s, whatever. 20, 21, 22. Had a great time, had probably the experience that most don't because of the sort of, access that we had to sets and certain fun parties and whatnot. So that was cool. It kind of gave me a perspective of I could do this or I could be out here. So I went back to Ohio State and just took an abundant amount of courses and sort of, I was on a 5-year plan, and then I sort of expedited it to 4 years and a quarter. So I came out literally 2 weeks after I graduated in 1997, December of 97. Then I was literally arrived in Malibu. Was my first stop in California on the first of the year, January 1st of 98. And I never forget, it was in the middle of El Nino. So it rained my first 90 days here in California.
You brought all the rain.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, that's my story, how I got out here.
Good deal. So then what was your career path from there? You got out. Did you have a job, or did you just
Honestly,
do whatever?
I had the coolest first job. So I came out with $2,000. I burned through that in I think less than my first month. I'm going out to, clubs and just throwing money it was an endless, account that I had, which I quickly realized that it wasn't endless. It ended in a month. But my first job out here was playing Marvel character. They opened up a Marvel Mania at the at help me out.
Universal Studios?
Yes, Universal Studios. Yeah. And then and then Johnny Storm, which was part of the Fantastic Four, led to Spider-Man. So I was Spider-Man and then I did some Captain America, but it was cool. It was like a gig that I was paid really well for what I was doing, and ate really well at the restaurant. Marvel Mania was a Marvel themed restaurant. So I was getting food, I was getting a good check, and I was playing a superhero. Everybody, wanted my autograph and photo. So I couldn't ask for a better gig, coming out from Columbus to LA.
I'm surprised you actually brought that up. I was going to ask this later in the interview, so I'm glad you brought it up initially. I was going to put you on the spot. Yeah. And then where'd you go from there?
So that was
how do you go from playing Captain America to becoming a real estate agent?
I didn't come out to be Spider-Man. I came out to be an actor, and that's I think I skipped over that part, but that was my job, to sort of make ends meet, being a superhero, if you will. But yeah, so did the struggling acting thing for 5 years, and then had a really cool gig that I had booked, a lead role in an independent, and then all of a sudden we had a big strike, and it was 2002. I think it was 2002, SAG strike for 9 months. Everything shut down in the industry, and you couldn't do anything domestically, or else you would have gotten, blackballed from the union. So at that time, I was like, I got to do something. And a friend of mine, she suggested getting my real estate license. She was a mortgage broker. And so I got my license. I literally locked myself in my apartment for 3 months, got my test date, and nailed it. And then a buddy of mine was like, hey man, he was at Remax. He's like, you should check out this new company. It's Keller Williams. A friend of mine's opening the Hollywood Hills office. You should meet with him. I'm like, cool. So I did that, and ended up being part of the core group that opened up that Hollywood Hills office, which actually was a flagship office for Keller Williams in Southern California. Like, that office alone was responsible, and to this day, for, I would say, probably 45 to 50 market centers that the core group that made up that initial launch of the Hollywood Hills office has gone and opened up all these ancillary.
That's them calling right now.
Throughout, LA, Southern Cal, Northern Cal, and then even outside of California. So it was a cool flagship office to be a part of.
Got it.
And look, that time, that was in 03.
Okay.
I mean, Keller Williams wasn't. I mean, there was only one other Keller Williams in Southern California, and it was down in San Diego.
Wow.
Actually, no, there's two other ones: San Diego and then Marina del Rey. So, I mean, the time there was crazy. So I got in the market, and all I knew, Thomas, was this.
Yeah.
And it was, you didn't even put a sign in the yard. You just, you listed it, and it was multiples in the first several hours of it hitting the market. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Similar times, but different.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't think we'll ever go back to those. I mean, that was ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, I mean, most people that can remember that time, I mean, lending guidelines were nothing like they are today. And it was a wild, wild west.
Yeah.
For sure.
Okay. So 2002-ish, you got into the business.
2003
okay.
was when I got my license. And then started with Keller Williams in 03. So I think it was May of 03.
And then you worked as an agent for a number of years. And then was the Newport office your first leadership role, or was there another role before that?
Yeah, no, that was, so again, saw the market up, and then I fell hard on my face, had a model that we came up with. We kind of got out of the sort of the resale, and we went into more second homes and investment properties on a sort of a nationwide scale. And we're in like 6 other states doing some pretty aggressive type of investment opportunities for clients, because we had a lot of clients with all this equity in their homes, and we're trying to help them reposition that equity into different emerging markets and to grow their real estate portfolio. And then obviously, July, August of 07, everything came to a screeching halt. So I kind of took a big hit, as a lot of people did, and I had to sort of reinvent myself. for a short period of time, I got into selling insurance, and actually was on this fast track for with a company as a GM. And I realized it when I saw behind the curtain, it wasn't what I wanted to do because it didn't align with my values. And so then this opportunity with Keller Williams came back. I still had my license, and an individual who I was selling with at the Hollywood Hills office. She was an agent. She actually was the OP launching this new Keller Williams in Newport Beach. And she called me. She's like, "Hey, I thought of you. Would you be interested?" And then from that day forward, I just committed. And we launched, as you know, Keller Williams Newport Estates. And that was January of 2010. I think we opened up in May. I was recruiting out of the Starbucks in Corona Del Mar with no brick and mortar, just a vision. And driving from Glendale to Newport Beach was 51 miles one way. So I did that for 4.5 years. But it's funny when you look at things that you do in life and you're like, wow, I can't believe I did that. But it's all about the perspective and where you are at that point in your life, and you just do what you got to do. I mean, I was in that sort of fight or fleet mentality because I'd lost everything. I just got married, and I was trying to figure it out. Trying to rebuild after having, had built something pretty cool, pretty fast, and then losing it all. But I'm really glad. I look back at that period, Thomas. I'm like, I'm really glad that I went through it as hard as it was, and as difficult it is to say that because of what I went through. But it's also something that I'm thankful for, because what it taught me just about people, myself, business. You're not supposed to be buying when everybody's buying. You go against the grain, and you have to. One of the things that Keller Williams teaches, and I wasn't really applying that until later, but the whole red light, green light aspect of every dollar you spend, you have to make sure that you justify the return on that dollar. What am I going to get in return? Is it $1.50? Is it $2? So you got to hold it accountable. And those are the things that you don't know as a new agent when you get into a market where all you know is up, and you have to experience that before you really realize some of the core business components of being successful, and not just based off the market.
And you had some major career shifts that just kind of happened with the strike and then the downturn of the market. Like, those are some major career shifts pretty early on, right?
Yeah, that's funny. That's true. It's funny. You gotta learn to pivot, and I think it's important when you have good people around you that kind of helps identify some of your blind spots, because we all have them, and I know your wife Michaela, I'm sure is a big area of strength for you, just like my wife Tracy is, and at that time she wasn't my wife, or it depended on what point, but she was in my life. And so I think it's important, again, just we can't we don't always see our blind spots, which is why they're blind spots. So I think having a strong spouse is important, and a spouse that's involved and knows sort of like what you're doing in your business, and can help, whether coach you or advise or consult. And she was a big part of helping me get through that really dark time. I mean, she was the one that was telling me, hey, you know what, so and so can do, run an office. You should definitely be able to. And honestly, that was what gave me this second chance of rebuilding myself after losing everything in the market. So yeah, you gotta lean on those strong women.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You kind of led me in my next question. You have such a unique perspective in that you went from production and being an agent selling properties to leadership, and we'll get a little further into kind of your new projects that you've been working on. But I'm just kind of curious of kind of that perspective, and maybe some takeaways that you have thought about with regards to the industry as a whole, kind of from those different viewpoints. Because myself, I've just been an agent. I've kind of worked under different team structures and currently an individual, but that's kind of my only kind of viewpoint. So I'm curious, kind of that alternative
Yeah.
perspective?
Well, so there's a couple things I take out of that question. I mean, you're talking about like, leadership and then actually, different perspectives from agent to leadership and being in the industry for 17 years now. I think about leadership, and it's one of those things where I'm constantly in a path of growth in leadership. And I look at, first of all, the person that is in the mirror. For me, it's like, if I can't lead myself, I'm not going to be able to lead agents. I'm not going to be able to lead my home. I'm not going to be able to lead, clients. And so I think it first and foremost, it starts out with, being disciplined. You're very disciplined. You grew up in sports. You've been able to display that in your life. And I feel like that's a big characteristic of a strong leader, somebody that's self-disciplined and somebody that can maintain that discipline in their life, even when there is adversity. So, it's one of those things where I also, I talk about, taking inventory of your home and, is your house built on a strong foundation? And I'm not talking literally, but, looking at, the relationship that you have with your spouse or your significant other, your kids, are you connecting in your communication with them? Because if you can't connect with your kids or your spouse, you're not going to be able to connect with, your coworkers, your agents, your clients. So I think it's really important, first and foremost, is look at the types of conversations that you're having. Are you present, or are you, on your phone? And look, I'm the first one to say that I'm guilty of the latter. I mean, there's times where I know, my kids will be trying to tell me something, maybe about their day, and then I have to realize that, what, phone is for another time. Have that time with your kids, because as we know, it's important to have that while you can. So I think when you can lead at home, and you can have a strong foundation, and you can have, you've fixed the cracks in the foundation, or you've, eliminated the deficiencies that might exist, that gives you the right and the permission to be able to lead others. And then as you have a track record and you develop success in different areas, people will then be able to respect you in areas that you're leading. I look at, when I first got into leadership, there was a book, The 5 Levels of Leadership by John Maxwell, and the first level is positional leadership, and people only follow you because of your position. And so it's getting to that, moving up the ranks of the 5 levels that gives you the ability to have influence based on what you've done for yourself, what you've done for others. And then when you kind of start looking at the industry and sort of, I think the latter part of that was like sort of was it the perspective of how the industry has changed?
Yeah, I just think that, yeah, certainly how the industry's changed. I think you have such a unique perspective, and that you've kind of experienced multiple facets of it. So yeah, I mean, that kind of leads us right into kind of how things have changed. Obviously, within the last year, we've seen a lot of different changes, but prior to that as well, kind of maybe what you've seen out of agents and stuff like that.
Well, you do something, and I'll speak on this, and you're somebody that does it at a very high level. One of the things from an adaptation standpoint that I'm constantly talking to agents and coaching agents around is the use of video and the use of content. Because this is the reality is this is the medium that people prefer. By the end of 2022, 87% of Facebook is going to be video content. So people prefer this type of viewing experience, and you've done an exceptional job pivoting long before. And look, there's so many agents that are still behind the 8 ball on this and not really committing to this because of various reasons that they may, not feel comfortable with. But
I think that's totally it. I mean, I think that it's self-consciousness, maybe lack of confidence, but or whatever it may be. Even if you have the ton of confidence, in person, right? Like, this is a total different environment. You're looking at a computer, you're looking at a camera lens. It's can be kind of awkward. But I mean, yeah, prior to COVID and especially now, it's kind of become an imperative thing. People are busy, and they can consume the content when they want.
it's true. And look, it's not, and I think part of it might be the fear of not being able to articulate value. And look, people don't want it perfection on camera. They want people to be normal, be human, mess up, say something that didn't make total sense, but you correct yourself because you're being authentic. So yeah. I think the industry has changed from the standpoint of the access of information that consumers have at the palm of their hands, right? So if you don't come to the kitchen table prepared to be able to share something that they don't already know, then you're going to have a less probability of obtaining a signed agreement, because like people not only want you to be the expert, they can't be the expert as the consumer, but guess what? And a lot of times they are, because of the accessibility of the information and the fact coupled with agents aren't spending enough time really becoming local experts. Like you know everything that you need to know about your service market area. Like you are the go-to guy, and you do a great job of understanding not only the nuances of that area, but like the metrics, why people are moving. You have all the data to support that. A lot of agents aren't coming prepared with that data. Now, look, we because of and this has always been a frustration for me, but the entry, the barrier of entry.
Yeah, got it.
Is so low that you have a lot of people that can just get their license but aren't coming really equipped to run a business. And agents like yourself and the 10%ers are the ones that are bringing the value and that are taking the market share. So I think to kind of come back to your question, how it's changed, consumers are much more knowledgeable, and the standard for service has just gone through the roof. Like you have to really bring a high level of customer service and follow through, and the touches and the gifts and the follow up. I mean, it has to be a 5-star level of service. And
that's a great point.
It's where it's at.
It's a great point. I heard I was listening to Tom Ferry's podcast just a couple of days ago, and they talked about basically it was an aspect where they said talking about how you're talking about the increased level of information that the consumer has, right? They have so much information in front of them that they would have previously not had. Well, what he was saying is like, you wouldn't want to go to your surgeon and know more information about your surgery than your surgeon, right? So, you want this professional that's, in charge of your health or in charge of your most, potentially your largest financial investment, your future wealth or whatever it may be. You'd probably want them to have more knowledge about that aspect of things than you do as the consumer.
It's funny you're saying this. You and I were talking off camera about just some of the frustrations that we have around discount brokers. And look, long before I got into real estate, discount brokers were a big part of it, and they're still around today, and it's frustrating, right? It's frustrating that we have to compete with people that devalue our value as agents. And look, not every agent is built the same. There are those that certainly give blemishes to our industry and us as service providers, consultants. However, when you can justify being a full service agent, offering full service, and also in your negotiation, in your marketing strategy that's customized to your seller, and that differentiates you from the discount brokers. I mean, it should, when you look at the numbers, consumers should see that, look, there's going to be, a 5, 6, 7 times gross on the return on investing in somebody like yourself as their listing agent, opposed to just looking at the numbers on a sheet that says, look, this person's going to do a 1%. But guess what? More often than not, you're going to get that type of service, a discounted service. So I just think, like that hasn't really changed in the industry, has it? Like we still, have those discount brokers. However, we just have to, I think, stay true to who we are I think we always have to look at how can we top grade what we're doing or what we're not doing. Like how can we plus our services? Like I think it's a good chance that when we good opportunity to look at our own inventory of our business and say, look, where do I need to improve? I know I'm running a pretty a pretty tight ship here with respect to what I'm doing, but there's always areas that I think that we can look at our value proposition and improve it. So
For sure. I mean, it's always changing, and it's changing daily, weekly, monthly, especially now. That's perfect. Leads me to my next question. Kind of what are some of the top traits you've come across? Hundreds, if not thousands, of agents that you've led or recruited in the past years. What are some of the common traits that you've seen in those most, or what they're doing that you see as kind of the most successful common traits amongst those agents?
I think evolving. I think pivoting is. I think with the pandemic, it gave us all an opportunity to pivot in our business, and instead of making it an excuse why you didn't do well, make it a reason why you did do well. And those really good agents take times like the pandemic, and they figure out a way to advance their business model and meet the client where the client is.
Mm.
A lot of people were in retreat mode last year, and but I also saw a lot of agents have the best years of their life, and it's because they evolved. I think something else that's important is, and something in my life that I do both spiritually as well as personally is I'm eager to give. And I think those that are eager to give to others or give to their church, if you're eagerly giving to others, I think you're bound to receive nice gifts. God's provisions will certainly be evident, and I think that those that are not holding on to things tight to their vest and they're sharing information, whether it's marketing strategies and not feeling like what they have is like, is the end all be all.
Yeah.
Other people are doing it, and I don't think there's any trade secret. So I think that you have to be willing to give in all areas of your life, and you'll certainly find benefits tenfold in giving. I think also those that I think it's success. It's one of those things where it's oftentimes success is relative, right? It's a relative term. But I think it's not what you become when you're successful. It's who. And I think money doesn't change who you are. It exposes who you are. And so, and whatever kind of money that is, but I think it's what you are able to do with it. Because look, something was told to me several years ago, and it stuck with me. And it's a pretty amazing statement. And when this was told to me, I was like, wow, I thought about it. I was like, that's pretty powerful. And it's so true. So basically you die twice, right? Mm. You die when your physical spirit leaves your body and hits the pearly white gates. You die the second time when your name, Thomas Ryan, is mentioned for the last time out of somebody's mouth. So think about that. And then it makes you start to think about, okay, well, what is my legacy? Like, what is it? How long will my name or my impact live on after I'm long gone? Will it be one generation? Will it be my great grandkids, or will it be my great? Am I going to set up a foundation, or am I going to set up some sort of charity work that will live on? And so it made me think at a deeper level about what I'm doing while I'm here, because as you know, we're just renting time. We don't own anything here. Yeah. We're just passing through. So
build some equity, right?
Yeah, exactly. So, but I think as far as just kind of get back to your question, the successful agents, they evolve. They have their systems. I think they fine tune their systems. They are able to attract talent and leverage technology. If you're not equipped to adapt to technology and allowing technology to be an efficient tool to provide you and your clients higher levels of service, then you're missing the boat. And you'll probably be out of the business in 18 to 24 months if you're not really just leaning fiercely into tech.
There's so many aspects that we need to perfect in this business. I mean, more and more each day. I mean, the Zoom listing presentation has become an aspect that more people have taken into consideration. Just the different restrictions that have been placed on our business with regards to having to, complete the property entry advisory disclosure and cleaning utensils and all these different.
No open houses. How about that?
Yeah, no open houses.
Think about how many agents, and I know you were, and that was you as well. I mean, so many agents would get business from open houses. So it's like, what are you doing now to replace that pillar of income, of business that you were getting and now you're not? And so it's gone to doing online Zoominars where, you're holding monthly or bi-weekly, very powerful, informative 30-minute segment workshops around, buying your first home, buying your second home, buying up, buying down, selling in today's market, like whatever that is, but being able to reach a broader audience and not having to have them be inconvenienced by coming to, a certain location to hold that event, whereas before we would do that.
Yeah.
Now you can service a greater audience in this sort of fashion and hopefully, be able to provide even more value.
That's the plan. Speaking of value, if there was an agent about to get in the business or it's day one, what would, like I said, there's so many different things and aspects to the business that we need to perfect, but what's like the one, it could be a micro thing. What's the one thing you'd tell a new agent, just advice on day one?
Well, I would say, look, I mean, instead of really buying leads and spending a fortune and getting yourself in debt, kind of like when you go into college and you graduate with $100,000 of debt. Same thing with the new agent. Instead of investing in all these online lead platforms, I tell agents, I'm like, look, pull out your phone, go to your contacts, tell me what the number is when you scroll all the way at the bottom, 2,200, 1,700, 1,000. And I see right there, that right there is your data bank. Focus on building that moat, like Gary Keller says, build that moat around, embrace your database, because this is reality. Like every consumer knows 12 and a half licensed real estate agents. The likelihood that Thomas Ryan has some of the same contacts in his phone that I have in my phone is probable. And I can bet you that Thomas has systems set up that he's touching his people consistently. They're hearing from him on various mediums. If the new agent just did that and they built a system, and and I know KW has a great technology around being able to automate and being able to put touch systems in place that reach out, connect with the people, and it doesn't have to be a sales call. Like just let people know that you're thinking of them, give them something of value. Hey, did you know? Or hey, by the way, I was thinking of you today. And it doesn't always have to be a phone call. Shoot a quick little selfie video. Hey, I was thinking of you today, Tom. So I was driving by this mid-century. I know how much you love mid-centuries. I'm going to send you a quick little, video on it or a picture on it. Let me know your thoughts. What would you do to this mid-century or something like that? It doesn't always have to be about, hey, who do you know that wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? Let people know you got to do life with your database, meaning the money's made between the transactions, right? So Thomas, you got to know the kids' names. You got to know the dog. You got to know the cat. You got to know the hamster. You got to know that they love to travel to Hawaii once a year. You got to know where they go when they go to Hawaii. Like when you do that, people realize that you care about the most important things in their life because you ask questions. I always tell agents, you can tell somebody when you there's a correlation between the questions that you ask and the income that you make. And if you're asking really good questions, and tell me more about that, Ryan or Thomas. Tell me more about what's special when you and Michaela travel. Like, what is it that you guys like to do? Why is it that you like to do that? Like, when you ask granular questions, people are going to realize, you know what? Like, Thomas really cares about me. Like, he's really asking thoughtful questions, and I appreciate that about it. And then, you take your copious notes in your database, and next time you talk to them, what you reference because you have taken notes. So, to the new agents, use your phone as your lead generator, build more connecting relationships with the people in it, provide value, and you should be able to get 10 to 12 transactions out of your phone, every year if you do that. And that's on a minimum, like starting out. And then you develop the systems to generate even more.
I was told very early, before I was even licensed, to answer your phone.
Oh, that too. Oh my gosh. But
how simple is that?
It's true. Answer your phone. And I do more and more of that. But, we get jaded by it. If they're not in our phone, if I don't have Thomas Ryan, in my phone, right? It's funny.
I answer so many, like, from across the country phone calls, just because you never know who.
People are a little bit shocked when you answer because they're like, hey, it's Brock, and I was calling to set up a showing for your listing. Wow, I didn't expect you to pick up the phone, Thomas.
Yeah,
how you doing? We're so used to like leaving a message or texting, but this is the other thing, Thomas. And I love that you said that. I mean, it's important to also know how your clients want to communicate.
Yeah, for sure.
Some clients aren't interested in talking, but guess what? They will text you and do a transaction all through text.
Yeah, and some don't want to text, and they want that you'll text them and they call you back. Pick up on that, and
but I love that you said it. Answer your phone. That's a great.
I've always like listened to that one. Tell me about Build Your Blueprint. What projects we got going on? Kind of share with us kind of a little insight there.
Yeah. So I got a team, I'm in leadership now, I'm running the Los Feliz office, but I do have a team that I've had for about 3 years. When I was transitioning out of my old office, out of sort of the managing of an office, I got back into production, and then this opportunity came to me. I wasn't looking for it. It still allowed me to fulfill other passion areas of my life, which was still running a team, and then also having flip projects and doing some developing. So it's been an opportunity that I'm learning and loving it, and certainly having fun with it. So we right now have a project in Glendale that we bought in November, and it will be ready in first week of it'll probably hit the market first week of April. Spanish. Do a little revival, Spanish revival, 1923, 4-bedroom, 2-bath. So it's fun,
what are you learning? What are you learning from that?
I'm learning about construction. I wasn't born and grew up a carpenter, so I'm learning a lot about that. I have an eye for materials and things, so that's improving as well, and that's fun. And learning a lot of things with the city. Certain cities are more difficult than others. I mean, we did something, La Cañada, which was interesting, and Glendale is also interesting. But look, there's challenges during COVID. It doesn't matter what city you're in. There's fewer people working at the city. There's a lot more sort of pent up demand, if you will, that elongates your holding period, right? So we have our carrying costs are considered in our margins to be longer now, because certain elements that are outside forces that we can't really dictate. But at the end of the day, the market, as you know, is still hot. It still allows for there to be margins for flipping. So we're taking advantage of it while we can.
Who knows? The longer you hold on to it, the higher the prices might go.
Yeah. I mean, goal this year is to do 6.
Nice.
And we'll see. If we can hit that, but certainly we're already looking at our next one too. So
very cool.
It's fun.
Good. Awesome. What's your go-to happy hour in Los Feliz?
well, when there's when it opens back up, it'll probably be Desert Rose, which is I think it's the go-to because you want a place that you can walk to, right? You don't want to be driving. It's a block away. They got like $3 drafts and $5 wells. So that it's great outdoor patio. And again, it's a block away. So
Perfect.
makes for an easy walk back to the office. But you know what's funny? We've been doing a lot of happy hours via Zoom. We'll do where we'll send our agents little care packages of like a spirit,
Yeah.
in a cocktail glass or a wine glass and a small wine bottle, and then we'll do like an online bingo or some sort of game that they can do digitally and enjoy a drink. And so, again, we talked about pivoting in today's market.
Yeah.
And we've been able to do that. So that's been sort of fun. So, yeah.
Nice. Well, I was going to ask my Captain America question, but we already addressed that. Did we miss anything else? Any other touches?
Oh man, no, dude. I'm an open book.
I was going to say, I didn't know I was coming for a therapy session today, or but I feel
before the Zoom.
I feel
our talk before the Zoom.
I feel motivated, intrigued, lots to think about. As always with our conversations with Brock.
Oh, man, hey, listen, I appreciate you. I love all that you're doing. I'm a big fan. I follow you. You're certainly creative in a lot of the stuff that you do for your farm, and it's certainly
just trying to have fun.
Most agents don't do, which what separates you. So I love seeing you crush it, and I look forward to just seeing you continue to dominate and bring value to your consumers. So good job, buddy. I
appreciate it, man. It's a testament to a lot of people I've come across in this industry, obviously. And you being one of those that obviously, I mean, it's funny. You come across a lot of people over the years in the business and different offices, and I've been a part of now 3 different Keller Williams offices, and you hold on, like you said, those relationships, and so I've appreciated your relationship and appreciate you taking the time.
You got it, my man. Appreciate you, brother.
Good deal.
Give my best to that beautiful bride of yours.
Will do. Appreciate it. And thanks to you for listening in or watching in on another episode of Always Be Consulting. Until next time, have a good day.